So for this video, I'm going to show you how to start and get set up in Adobe Premiere. So starting from the main menu on all laptops, if you go to the Start menu in all programs, you can find all of the Adobe products that we'll be using or we'll have access to. Adobe Premiere is what we're going to use for video editing. Photoshop would be more photo manipulation, but Adobe Premiere is going to give us a lot of control to do video editing at a much more professional level. This is beyond what we did in iMovie, for those of you who used iMovie. This screen will take a little while to load, especially if you haven't opened the software on your computer for the day. So mine logged in pretty quickly here. The first thing you'll see when this opens is this welcome window that allows you to make the new project, open a recent one. We're not going to use this Creative Cloud Sync stuff, at least not yet. So I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to name it My First Video. By default, it's going to try to save it into a My Documents folder, but I do not want to do that. I want to make sure all of our stuff is going to be saved on the desktop so that they're easy to find. So when I click on Browse, I can choose Desktop. I'm going to make a new folder called My First Video. I already have my media, my First Video media is downloaded, so I'm going to make a My First Video folder. I'm going to select this folder, so anything for this video I'll throw into that folder. Everything else I'll leave the same, and I'll just say OK. While that's loading, I'm going to, I loaded really quickly. I'm going to show on the desktop, so I've got My First Video project. Here's that video, or here's that folder, and here's all the media for it that I downloaded. I'm going to take all of this media. Media is going to be photos, videos, audio, anything that we would put in our video, and I'm going to drop it in here. So now I've got everything for this video in the same folder. So I'll go back to Premiere. In Premiere, when it first opens up, your timeline will be blank, your program sequence will be blank, but you will get stuff in your media browser. So along the top, the reason why the windows are arranged this way is because we're in the assembly step. Editing, color, effects, and audio all have a slightly different proportion of video. So for example, we'll be editing next, and this allows us more space for our timeline, and the media browser gets smaller because we are no longer manipulating clips and dropping in new clips as much. So for this first project, we'll use assembly, editing, and effects. Effects isn't just the effects, it's also going to be transitions for the video, as well as a few other anonymous trinkets for making this video kind of clean looking. So I'm going to go to the media browser. If it shows up like this, you're going to need to drop down the C drive. You're going to need to find users. You're going to need to find your name. So a few people have logged into this computer since last it restarted, but my name is there as it should be, as well as some others. So I'm going to go into that one and look at the desktop. On the desktop, here's my first video project. That was the media folder that I left empty. So I'm going to go to My First Media. And here's all the videos that we have and audio files. Those are the audio files up there. There's some videos. And this is all of what I'm going to use to make this project together. From my storyboard, I took the video shots that I needed, and so now I've got them all collected here. To preview the clips, you can just scroll over the tile and you'll see it kind of move. These clips are going to go into the timeline. So right now the timeline's blank, so I'm going to just drop one in. When I drop that one in, it's going to go show up on the video track 1 and audio track 1. If I drag in my next clip, I can drag it to video 2, audio 2, video 3, audio 3, but they're paired up, so there's a matching video track for every audio track. I'll just drop that right there for right now. So this is going to be where we'll do most of our editing. You can move things around in here, it's just this is rather small right now. So at this step, what I'd be doing is adding and taking away parts of the video just adding in new clips. If I did want to see this further out, on the bottom of the timeline, there's this scroll bar. The scroll bar can shrink and grow. If I push them closer together, it zooms in. If I pull them further apart, it zooms out. So you can see the time, that's 0 seconds, 0 minutes. Here's 1 minute, 2 minute increments. When it zooms in, now here's 0 minutes, 5 frames, 10 frames. So we're not even at a second for those ones as I go further out. Okay, there's 1 second, 2 seconds. So you can scale it as you need it to get the editing done. But this is how we get things set up. If I were putting in my full assembly, I would put in, just continue dropping a few in. You don't necessarily have to have them all in the first place, but it depends on what way you want to edit them. So this is where I'll leave the end of this video, and the next one will focus on the beginning of editing and tools for editing.